Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast, where we provide you with your weekly diagnosis of everything fantasy football. Whether it's season-long leagues, dynasty, DFS, or sometimes even IDP, we got you covered all year long. Let's do it. Let's get to it. Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast. And of course, I'm your host, John June. And without a doubt, on this Saturday morning, December 4th, shout out to Jay-Z, got my co-host here with me, Greg Penniman. Greg, what's good, man?
What's good? Great reference to Jay-Z, the GOAT. It's really good Saturday morning. Nice weather for December. Great game on Thursday night. Very interesting. A lot of special plays made. It was a lot of cool plays made on Thursday night. Looking forward to part two. Looking forward to a nice little Saturday championship Sunday in college too. So we got some big games today everywhere.
Yeah, definitely, man. Big games in college football. Big games in the NFL. You referenced the game that took place on Thursday night, which obviously we're gonna give our takeaways from. But obviously, we're going to be breaking down the remaining games, the afternoon games, the Sunday night game, the Monday night game. If you want any of the 1 p.m. games, you got to go back to episode 228, part 1 preview of week 13, and catch those 1 p.m. games. Obviously, we're going to do our starts of the week. We're obviously going to play some get money as well. But before we do that, obviously, Thursday night takeaways. And you referenced the game, Greg, that was very interesting. It was it actually was kind of a close game. It was 20-10 at one point, or for a long period of the game, it was 20-10, and you could really see a situation where the Saints maybe force overtime or could potentially come back and win. But some self-induced errors there kept that from happening. My first Thursday night takeaway is I 100% enjoy watching CeeDee Lamb play football. I mean, we're talking about it before we hit record, Greg. This guy, like I said it before, he was born to play wide receiver. Everything he does is just smooth. It's with purpose. It's done. It's executed almost flawlessly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the guy's a stud, and he'll be one of the best receivers in the league for at least the next 6 to 7 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Even the plays he didn't make, the ones that went out of bounds, he made a one-handed catch, just easy. He's special, man. He does what he has to do every time he steps on the football field.
Absolutely. Greg, you got a takeaway for the people?
Yeah, I just want people to realize that how easy it is for Taysom Hill to finish as a QB1 when he steps on the football field. This man, there's no reason why, if he's starting, he shouldn't be under 50% rostered, because if you're in a 12-team league and you have one quarterback, that means you should be considering dropping your quarterback to get Taysom Hill. He threw 4 picks and he still is going to finish a QB1. 101 rushing yards, 264 passing yards. They threw 41 times because they were behind. This probably will be the case because the Saints, are just injured and banged up, and they're probably
that defense.
Yeah, and that defense,
that pass defense.
Yeah, it's been bad. The fact that he had 8 points in most leagues taken away from him, and he's still going to finish QB1 is insane.
Yeah, that's the other part, right? People complain about the 4 interceptions, right? But it's but look at the 101 rushing yards you got, right? Or the 41 pass attempts, that's a plus.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So also he was dealing with a finger injury. I know he was getting dragged on Twitter and social media and whatnot. But you literally see the dude after every play tugging on his middle finger.
Yeah.
He has a splint on it. You go outside, put a splint on your middle finger, actually injure your middle finger, then go put a splint on it and go outside and try to throw a football and see how you do. And then consider the fact that he's playing in an NFL game here. So
this is almost an injury that basically took Russell Wilson out for almost 2 months. So yes.
And the dude's just tugging. My man ran the ball 8 straight times.
Yeah.
And every time he got up and just tugging on his middle finger. So
yep.
Oh man. Any other Thursday night takeaways for you here, Greg?
Zeke is really a concern. Like it's. I mean, it's sad trade deadlines are over, but yeah, it's gonna be rough down the stretch for Zeke managers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not overly concerned just because
It's a health thing now, though.
yesterday was the health thing is obviously that upsets you. You see him limping around on the field, like that's not fantastic. Um, but yesterday we knew it was going to be a bad matchup against New Orleans, who are one of the top run defenses in the league, and they're one of the worst pass defenses in the league. So, like, does it really make sense to bang your head into that wall, similar to like what teams do with Tampa Bay? So, Zeke had similar output against Tampa Bay. Granted, he was fully healthy in that game, so he does get an extra 10 days rest here. Granted, he did have a short turnaround time because he went from playing on Sunday to playing on Thursday. Playing, well, I guess Thursday to Thursday is the same thing. So he'll get an extra few days here of rest, and hopefully he comes back healthy, ready to go. I don't know who they play next week, but I do know they get the Giants in 2 weeks, which is should be most leagues playoff opening weekend, which that's a good matchup. Maybe if you're a Zeke manager and you've already made the playoffs, you're hoping that the Cowboys just make the concerted effort to just hold him out for a week.
Yeah, and get him healthy, get him right,
get him healthy. Because we know Tony Pollard, as you can see, man, this guy is an explosive player. He's a very good running back, and he's a guy that if trade deadlines aren't done in your dynasty leagues, that I think he's a guy worth going out and getting, because he's going to be a free agent, and he's a guy that he could lead a backfield potentially.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely a guy that we'll be talking about potentially at some points in the future.
Yep.
All right, moving on to the remaining slated games here. First up, we've got the 5-6 Washington football team traveling to Las Vegas to take on the 6-5 Las Vegas Raiders. This game is Sunday, 4:05 p.m. This game has a 49-point total. The Raiders are 3-point favorites. In terms of injuries, Darren Waller, he's doubtful with the knee injury. Josh Jacobs, questionable with an ankle, and he was a limited participant Thursday and Friday in practice. Deshaun Jackson, he's questionable with the calf. On the Washington side, J.D. McKissic, he's out with a concussion and neck injury. Safety / linebacker Landon Collins, he's out with a foot. Wes Schweitzer, the guard for the Washington football team, he's going to be out with an ankle injury. Greg, where are you with this matchup here?
I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take Washington to cover and Washington to win. I think Las Vegas being banged up a little bit, especially with Darren Waller, is going to affect this team. But the matchup is pretty good for both sides. As far as the Washington side, Taylor Heineke, we talked about him being stream of the week. Other than Taysom Hill, he's got an excellent matchup here. So I think he's going to give you borderline QB1 value here. AG has been coming on late, doing pretty well, maximizing his volume and everything like that. So AG's back in that low end RB1 category for me. Terry McLaurin, I think, was also in wide receiver 1 category. I think their stars are going to show out here, as well as Logan Thomas, a guy I've been bringing up the last couple of weeks. He's back healthy, so he first couple of weeks came in doing well. He's going to be back into that tight end 1 territory. So Washington's got some players here that are very fantasy relevant. On the Raiders side, Derek Carr, he's in slate for a good day as well. He probably won't have Darren Waller. He still will have his Hunter Renfrow, who is just one of the safest receivers in football and fantasy right now, and should just continue to see uptick in targets and make the most of them. Josh Jacobs able to go is a solid RB2 for me. And besides Hunter Renfrow, I mean, Deshaun Jackson was able to make plays last week. Seems to be the only one that can help him stretch the field. So if you're willing to throw a dart play, I think Deshaun Jackson is the guy, especially with the matchup with this secondary.
Yeah, I'm going to take the under here. I'm with you on this game, man. I'm taking the under. I'm taking Washington to cover, taking Washington to win the game here. That's what you had, right?
The over, but yeah, Washington won.
Oh, you had the
Washington
over.
cover. Yeah.
Washington. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. But I'm taking the on the Raiders side. I agree with you. I like Derek Carr this week. I think I downgrade him a bit though with Waller out, but I still like him. I think he'll get enough volume to still be a QB one. Hunter Renfro gets a bump as well. I think here. With Waller being out, so I definitely, like you said, he's been one of the safest PPR um, you know, assets in fantasy. So, definitely, continue to roll him out there. Deshaun Jackson, I mean, despite the calf injury, is intriguing in this matchup here. Remember, it is a revenge game too for Deshaun against the Washington football team. So he likes to show out. Josh Jacobs, if he can go, is a high-end RB2. I really like what he's been doing these last few weeks, the target volume as well. So if he can go, that'd be great. If he can't, then Kenyon Drake becomes definitely a volume-based RB2 there. With Waller out,
Oh yeah.
Foster
Right.
Moreau
Yep.
makes a ton of sense as a desperation play at tight end. He filled in pretty admirably um, for Waller the last time he sat. So moving on to Washington, Taylor Heineke definitely in a great spot. I have him as a actually high end QB1. Love Terry McLaurin this week as well, along with Logan Thomas, who I think is a top 5 tight end option this week. Antonio Gibson, RB1 against this Raiders rush defense that's been lacking in recent weeks, especially with McKissick out. I think that increases some upside here. Seems like Ron Rivera said that Wendell Smallwood will take the J.D. McKissick role. So if you're really, really, really desperate or you're playing in DFS and you want a cheap play, Wendell Smallwood definitely makes some plausible sense there.
Yeah, definitely. Derek Carr leading passing yards still, so he's definitely been relevant.
Yeah, man, that volume is always going to be there for him on a week-to-week basis. So, moving on to this next matchup, man, we got the 8-3 Baltimore Ravens traveling to Pittsburgh to take on the 5-1 Pittsburgh Steelers. This game is Sunday, 4:25 p.m. The game has a 44-point total. The Baltimore Ravens are 3-point favorites according to FanDuel Sportsbook. There is expected to be rain during this game, so be mindful of that. Baltimore has a bunch of guys questionable, but all seem on track to play. Pittsburgh, Joe Hayden, he's out with the foot injury. TJ Watt was recently, and when I say recently, I mean just like minutes ago as we were recording, activated off of the COVID list. So don't know if that means that he will play, but that definitely puts him in the equation potentially to line up and play on Sunday. Isaiah Buggs is out. Joe Haig, offensive lineman, and Robert Spillane, a linebacker, are both out and were added to the COVID list. So in terms of this matchup here, I will be taking the over. I will be taking the Baltimore Ravens to cover. I'll be taking the Baltimore Ravens to win. Lamar Jackson has had, back-to-back down games now, and also missed a game in between. So really the last 3 games, he hasn't really been there for you from a fantasy perspective. But I think he bounces back this week against a weak Pittsburgh defense. I mean, they do get a boost with TJ Watt back, but I still think Lamar is going to have a really good day here. Especially how weak they are on the ground. Where the Ravens, obviously, that's how they butter their bread there. Devontae Freeman, RB2 for me. Latavius Murray, probably an RB3 based on the matchup here. Hollywood's going to be a wide receiver 2 for me this week. Obviously, he's got the upside for more. His target volume has just been so nice that you can't, even when in the down games, like there's no reason to even sit him when he's getting 10, 12, 14 targets in a game. Rashad Bateman, safe PPR flex option, but I think he has possibly some more upside this week in a good individual matchup against Cameron Sutton of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then Mark Andrews continuing to be a tight end 1 option for sure. On the Pittsburgh side, Deontay Johnson, top 10 play. Najee Harris, an RB1, but he could struggle in this matchup. I think, probably have a safe enough floor from a receiving perspective, though, to still have a nice day. Chase Claypool, Boomer bust wide receiver 3, Freiermuth tight end 1 option for me. But that's it.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the over. I'm gonna take Baltimore cover and Baltimore to win. Yeah, it's gonna be a close game. Actually, I'm gonna take Pittsburgh to cover and Baltimore to win. Just Baltimore and Pittsburgh divisional game. They're gonna go at it, play tough against each other, so it should be close.
TJ Watt, man.
Yeah, TJ Watt does change the line. This better line is going to change crazy at the activation news. Like, it literally just happened 5 minutes ago. On the Ravens side, Lamar, I do like he's taken a lot of accountability on his mistakes lately. So I think he's going to fix that in this game. Keep those interceptions down. Use his legs a little more, make some spectacular plays. So he's a quarterback 1 for me. At running back, I like Lamar Jackson as well. I mean, he's going to be the guy to go for both the receiving and the rushing for them. Hollywood Brown, he's a high-end wide receiver 2 for me. And Mark Andrews also tight end 1 as he is top 5 option.
Did you mean to say Devontae Freeman? Or did you actually mean to say Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, I mean, Lamar Jackson as a rusher. Devontae Freeman has intrigue, though. You're right.
Okay. Because you said Lamar Jackson as a rusher and receiver, so I was confused.
Yeah, his rushing and his receiving his passing is going to be what keeps him. Got it. Back in that QB1 territory. But yeah, Devontae Freeman has intrigue. It's RB3 for me. And then Mark Andrews, Hollywood Brown, the 2 pass catchers, of course, you're keeping an eye on. On the Pittsburgh side, Najee and Deontay, those 2 are your superstars on this team. Najee's going to be a top 5 option. Baltimore is pretty good at keeping, especially when they get down in that goal line. They're really tough getting in the end zone. I see that Minnesota game, the Dalvin Cook got like 4 straight carries, and they made sure to not keep him outside the end zone. Deontay Johnson, he's a safe wide receiver 1 every week. Pat Freiermuth has an excellent matchup here. Definitely some start of the week potential here. And yeah, it should be a really tough, good game. I mean, Baltimore-Pittsburgh is always a really good game to watch, especially if it's raining too. It's going to be nice.
Yeah, man. It was crazy to see watch Pittsburgh get beat up like they did last week and then see this line come out at -3. And I was just like, it is Baltimore-Pittsburgh, though.
Yeah.
So definitely agree with that. Next Sunday, 4:25 p.m. game that we are covering, the 2-9 Jacksonville Jaguars travel to Los Angeles to take on the 7-4 Los Angeles Rams. This game has a 48-point total, where the Rams are 13-point favorites. In terms of the injuries, James Robinson he's questionable with a heel and a knee. He actually was downgraded to a DNP from Wednesday to Thursday. But did get a limited practice in on Friday. So seems like he might be good to go there. Shaq Griffin, the cornerback for the Jags, he is out with a concussion. On the Rams side, something to watch here for sure. Darrell Henderson, he missed practice early in the week with a thigh injury, was able to get a limited practice in on Friday. But as a Darrell Henderson manager, I'm kind of just planning to be without him. It just doesn't seem like a very good situation. And if hopefully you picked up Sony Michel, that was one of the guys we talked about on the waiver wire a few weeks back, or not even a few weeks back, just I think as early as Monday we talked about him. I think he obviously will step in here to be the starter, but he could even potentially have a role with Henderson limited at all. Odell Beckham Jr., he's dealing with a hip injury that kept him out all week. Was actually able to get a limited practice on Friday, but I would also plan to be without him. And the running back, Buddy Howe, is also out. So, Greg, where are you at with this matchup here?
I'm going to take the under. I'm going to take the Rams to cover and the Rams to win. This has got to be the get-right game for this Rams team. I mean, it's Jacksonville at the end of the day. Let's be real. But on Jacksonville's side, if James Robinson's able to go, you're still starting him. I think he's just the volume he's going to get. He's still a safe borderline RB1. Marvin Jones has been probably the main pass catcher, the only pass catcher of relevance on this team. So you can throw him out there as a floor wide receiver 3. Trevor Lawrence, I wouldn't want to touch him in this matchup, especially with his D line. But hopefully they can all come together and try to rush the quarterback. On the Rams side, again, get right game for this offense. Stafford, Cooper Kupp. Hopefully Odell can play, and you're expecting him to play. He got his first touchdown last week. Got a good target share. So both Cooper Kupp and Odell are good plays. Of course, Cooper Kupp has the highest upside. And Darrell Henderson, if he can't go, we've been telling you, Sony Michel has been waiting. He's definitely in a good spot here. Have him ready and plug and play as a high-end RB2.
Yeah, I'm with you on the game. I'm taking the under, taking the Rams to cover, taking the Rams to win. If healthy and active, James Robinson for me on the Jacksonville side, and that's it. Like, I'm not touching anything else. I mean, like Trevor Lawrence against, like you said, against this Rams defense and this D line and this pass rush. I don't want it.
Yeah.
We could say that Marvin Jones has been relevant, but like, relevant in Jacksonville, like, it doesn't mean anything in fantasy land. Like, this is fantasy land, and like, this is James Robinson, and like, this is Jacksonville. So like, don't want anything to do with anybody not named James Robinson on this Jacksonville team. For the Rams, is Cooper Kupp, Darrell Henderson if he's healthy. Sony Michel, I think, is in play regardless of what happens. Stafford is not a must play for me, but with this, you're right. It's got to be a get right game for the Rams here. It's got to be, Sean McVay coming off a bye. Mm-hmm. He's got to be cooking some stuff up here to get this Rams offense right. You've got a cake matchup against a Jacksonville pass defense that's not very good. They're out without their top corner and Shaquille Griffin. So there's got to be, this has to be the week.
Has to be, man.
Where they turn this around. Yeah, that's it for that. Moving on to the next matchup. Interesting matchup here. I'll talk about another get-right game. Sunday, 4:25 p.m., we got the 6-5 San Francisco 49ers traveling to Seattle to take on the 3-8 Seattle Seahawks. This game has a 45.5-point total. The San Francisco 49ers are 3.5-point favorites. There is rain expected in this game. So, definitely not concerned about that, but, just be mindful of it. Deebo Samuel, he is out with the groin. Trey Sermon, he's out with an ankle. I believe he was added to IR, if I'm not mistaken. Defensive tackle Maurice Hurst, he's out. Linebacker Dre Greenlaw is also out. Linebacker Fred Warner, he's doubtful with a hamstring. On the Seattle side, Alex Collins, he's questionable with an abdomen injury. Rashad Penny, questionable with the hamstring. Travis Homer, questionable. Guard Damian Lewis, doubtful. And, I don't think we talked about it on the show, but Adrian Peterson is on the Seattle Seahawks practice squad. So he could come in and fill in and play for this game here. In terms of the matchup here, I'm taking the under, taking San Fran to cover, taking San Fran to win. On the Seattle side, Russ is borderline QB1. It's a decent matchup. Especially with a lot of these guys out, and it is Russ. Tyler Lockett, probably a wide receiver 2 for me. The peripherals on DK Metcalf, they still look good. He's still talented. He's still attached to Russell Wilson. I think you take the shot on him, but I look at him more as a lower end wide receiver 2 with a ton of upside, right? I think you just have to shift your perspective on DK Metcalf and not look at him as this must-start wide receiver 1, but instead look at him as like closer to like a flex play. Gerald Everett makes a ton of sense as a tight end streaming option. On the San Fran side, I love Elijah Mitchell this week, like against a bad Seattle rush defense. I don't think Ayuk can get any more of a bump with Deebo Samuel out. He was already seeing a team leading 27% target share over these last 3 weeks. Maybe he gets to 30, but I think that the bigger bump probably goes to George Kittle here. And also he's got a great matchup here against Seattle as well. So, Greg, what do you say on this matchup?
I'm going to take the under. I'm going to take the Niners to cover and then the Niners to win. On the Niners side, Jimmy G, he had a tough week last week. Usually still a quality streaming quarterback. So I think he's still back into that value this week to stream. Elijah Mitchell, I agree, is in a great spot here. Great matchup, and the volume should be there for him for sure. No Deebo Samuel, so yeah, Ayuk, Kittle, those guys are your main attack. Ayuk is in that wide receiver 2 category for me. George Kittle, top 3 play, as he was drafted, and you have him drafted in 4. On the Seattle side, I'm still wary of this team, just because again, Pete Carroll's stubbornness. But I mean, Russell Wilson, he's in that QB2 range for me. I'm not touching Alex Collins, Tyler Lockett. I do like him in that low end wide receiver 2 range, and also DK Metcalf. But they're both in that low end wide receiver 2 range. It's just a matter of who has the higher upside right now. I think it is Lockett, with the safer floor and just a little higher upside right now at this point. But yeah, I need to see from this team for them to get right.
Yeah, definitely. I think Lockett just makes a big play like every week, man.
Yeah.
He's got 90, 115 in each of his last 3 games. I think he's a solid wide receiver too.
Yeah.
But let's move on to the Sunday night game. Sunday, 8:20 p.m. We got the 6-5 Denver Broncos traveling to Kansas City to take on the 7-4 Kansas City Chiefs. This game has a 47.5 point total. The Chiefs are 10-point favorites. There is some wind expected in this game, but for the most part, the weather should be okay. On the Denver side, Melvin Gordon, doubtful to play with a hip and a shoulder. So, Javonte Williams time.
Yes, sir.
Jonathan Cooper, linebacker, questionable. Garrett Bowles, he's questionable as he was recently activated off the COVID IR. On the Kansas City side, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's questionable with an illness. Rashad Fenton, questionable, or he's out with a knee rather. Lucas Nang, he's also out. Greg, where are you at with this matchup here?
I'm going to take the under. I'm going to take the Broncos to cover, but I'm going to take the Chiefs to win. I think, both defenses are pretty solid. Kansas City just been playing better of late. But Denver seems to be competitive in the game, and it's a divisional game, so I think the Broncos can cover. On the Denver side, Teddy B, I have him in mid QB2 range. I think you can find other better matchups than him, like Taylor Heineke and stuff like that, because the Chiefs defense has been really good of late. No Melvin Gordon, he's doubtful, so Javonte Williams season, he should get the bulk of the targets and the carries. So I think that puts him in high in RB2 range with some RB1 upside against this Kansas City with this matchup. As far as the receivers, Sutton, Patrick, and Judy, the rank is still the same. I think it is Judy, Tim Patrick, and then Sutton. And then Noah Fant as your tight end option, mid-tier tight end 1 option. On the Chiefs side, Patty, you're starting him, of course. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, your usuals. With Clyde, if he's able to go, he's questionable, but I think he should be all right. I mean, they're coming off a bye, and they're using him the week before the bye, so I think he's in a low end RB2 range. Darrell Williams is still going to be involved as well as the RB3, and yeah, I think this should be a nice little Sunday night game. Chiefs have been relying on the defense of late, so that'd be nice if they get the offense right.
Yeah, definitely, man. I'm going to take the under here. I'm going to take Denver to cover, Kansas City to win, so I think we're on the same page there. Taking on the Denver side, Javonte Williams with Melvin Gordon out, he gets a major bump this week, potential RB1 here based on the potential volume. We talked about it off air. I think Mike Boone probably is going to have a role here because they like to roll 2 back. So again, if you are desperate, if I know between bye weeks and injuries, like it's hard out there. So do whatever you got, especially in these deep weeks. Teddy Bridgewater, QB2 for me this week, but I agree with you. I think I would look for somebody else in a better matchup if I could. Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver 2, staying away from Tim Patrick and Cortland Sutton. They haven't been great. Kansas City's been pretty good against wide receivers. It's just not something I want to bang my head into. Noah Fant, Albert O, both intriguing to me though. I think the way to attack Kansas City is your running backs and your tight ends, and I think that they could do that this week using both of these guys. On the Kansas City side, Mahomes, QB1, Travis Kelce goes back to potentially being the tight end 1, Tyreek Hill, a wide receiver 1, and I got Clyde as a running back 1, assuming he's healthy and ready to go. Moving on to the final matchup of the week, Monday Night Football. Probably, will be definitely an intriguing matchup here with major implications. Yeah. The 8-4 New England Patriots traveling to Buffalo to take on the 7-4 Buffalo Bills. This game has a 43.5 point total. The Bills are 3-point favorites. There is, according to Kevin Roth, the weather analyst for Roto Sports or Roto Grinders, he says that this is potentially the ugliest game of the week. Snow showers expected in this game in Buffalo. 20-mile-per-hour sustained winds. So that's not good for the pass game at all, just the way Bill Belichick likes it. So in terms of the injuries here, on the Buffalo side, Trey White, the cornerback for Buffalo, he tore his ACL in the Thanksgiving game last Thursday, and so he was placed on injury reserve. Obviously missed the rest of the season. Matt Milano, the linebacker, he's questionable with a shoulder. Defensive tackle Starla Tualele, he's questionable with an illness. New England has a bunch of guys questionable, so obviously we're not going to go through that list. But Kyle Duggar, he's one of my favorite players in football right now. Kyle Duggar, the safety for New England, he's out, was placed on the COVID list. So that's going to be a hit there for the New England Patriots secondary. In terms of this matchup here, I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take New England to cover. I'm going to take New England to win. This game is definitely tough. On the Buffalo side, I think you have to play Josh Allen. I do have him as a low-end QB1 this week, just based on the matchup, especially when you consider the weather. But he's the best shot Buffalo has at winning this game. So I think, he's going to have to, whether it's running the ball, some rushing touchdowns, they're going to have to, find a way for Josh Allen to have some success. Stephon Diggs gets a slight downgrade for me. Obviously, we know what Belichick's going to want to do. Going to want to take him away. I do have written down here Dawson Knox should get a downgrade, but I'm starting to think with Kyle Duggar out, maybe that does, increase the floor there for Dawson Knox. And, we do, again, with Belichick trying to take Diggs away, maybe that means more targets for guys like Knox, like Cole Beasley, Gabe Davis, some of these auxiliary pieces that I think that we might want to attack. And I think Devin Singletary's in play as a low-end RB2, desperation play RB2, again, based on the weather and the matchup here. Ramondre, on the New England side, Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris are probably the both pieces that I value the most on the New England side, especially with this weather being the way it is. I still think Kendrick Bourne or Jacoby Myers, they can make, fine wide receiver threes, because this isn't like, we know New England's not a pass offense that's built on throwing the ball down the field. Their pass offenses historically with Tom Brady and whatnot have a lot of success playing in snow and whatnot because they utilize a short passing game. So Kendrick Bourne, Jacoby Myers, they're still low floor options in my opinion, especially with Trey White out.
I'm gonna take the over, but I'm gonna take the Pats to cover and the Pats to win. I think this is gonna be a very hard-fought game. I just think the Pats are the better team right now, actually. So on the Patriots side, I'm really only looking at maybe I think all these players are gonna give you a safe floor, but all the upsides are gonna be kind of capped in this game just because the scoring will probably be a little minimal. Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson, they're of course like the Javonte and Melvin Gordon, both low in RB2s, eating each other's value up. Just whoever's gonna get that touchdown. I still give the the lean to Damian Harris because he's getting those red zone carries. Kendrick Bourne, Jacoby Myers, both in that wide receiver 3 category. But Kendrick Bourne has been playing well of late, getting some touchdowns. So I think he does have some upside there. On the Buffalo side, Josh Allen should finish still as a low end QB1, just with his legs. So I think that will give him a floor. And I agree with you on Diggs. They're gonna try to take him away. So I think I bump him down a little bit, but that does help the complementary pieces like Cole Beasley and Dawson Knox. Dawson Knox, I think, mid-tier tight end 1 category, and Beasley's been struggling of late. So I think if you do have the better matchup, I still would try to find someone better than Cole Beasley right now.
Yeah, no, he's not been good at all. Neither is Emmanuel Sanders either.
Yeah.
So
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. Moving on to starts of the week, Greg.
Yes, sir.
Let's hear it. Your quarterback start of the week, brother. What do you got?
Man, I mean, this guy is just he only knows how to destroy this team. It's Tom Brady going against Atlanta. He does spectacular things against them, or he just goes off. The first game they played him, 36 attempts for 276, and he threw 5 touchdowns. So I mean, you got to expect not maybe the exact performance here, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did it again. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, they're still there. Gronk, everybody going against Atlanta. It's just a cake matchup for Brady. He's going to go crazy in this matchup.
I like that one, and you'll see why a little bit later. My quarterback start of the week is actually, I'm going back to this well. I've done it before. Please don't do it to me again. Taylor Heinicke against Las Vegas. I really like him this week against the Raiders. Washington is 12th in offensive dropback EPA on early downs, while Las Vegas is 30th over their last 3 games. During that time span, the Raiders allow the 3rd most fantasy points to the quarterback position. Heinicke is the quarterback 12 over the last 3 weeks in fantasy points per game, averaging almost 17 points a game with a 5-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Also going with almost 16 yards rushing per game. So, gives a nice little bump there too. The Raiders have allowed an average of 23.5 PPR points, or points per game to quarterbacks over their last 3 games. So this is a really nice spot for Heinicke and all his weapons. Gotta love Taylor Heinicke this week, man.
Yeah, you gotta like that matchup for sure.
Greg, your running back start of the week, man. Let's hear it, brother.
I know, we've been giving love to JT and Eckler, all year after the Derrick Henry injury, but my man, Joe Mixon has been balling out the last couple of weeks, and we got to give him his respect. And he's got another amazing matchup this week going against the Chargers. 3 straight games with 2 touchdowns. If he gets 4, the last person to do that was the great LT. I mean, shout out to the LaDainian Tomlinson, one of my favorite running backs of all time. Never forget that he got snubbed for that NFL 100, man. I'm never gonna forget that, man. So yeah, Joe Mixon going against the Chargers. I'm rooting for him to get that again, multi-touchdown game in this matchup, going against with Joe Burrow. He's got to help him out. So I like Joe Mixon.
Yeah, man, Joe Mixon. I had to rock the Millie one time because every time Joe Mixon scores, he's always doing the Millie rock. So,
yes, sir.
Hopefully see that 4 times this weekend. Another guy I've definitely been giving a lot of love to recently, and you probably could tell he was gonna be my start of the week. The way this week kind of started, but Elijah Mitchell, man, against Seattle. This is the perfect storm here for Elijah Mitchell. He's already seeing 68% of the rush share over the last 3 games. Now Deebo Samuel's out, which means even more rush attempts and even more touchdown opportunities for him. And now he gets a Seattle defense that's allowing the 3rd most PPR points to the running back position. Elijah Mitchell's on a 16-game pace of almost 1,600 yards from scrimmage and 8 touchdowns as a rookie. This man has been balling, and he's going to continue to do that this week. Fire him up.
Yes, sir.
Greg, your wide receiver start of the week, brother. Let's hear it.
Hey, man, you talk about playing off of my quarterback. I got to play off of yours. Got to go with Scary Terry in this one. Going against the Las Vegas Raiders, Taylor Heinicke is going to find his main guy. Should get close to 10 targets in this one. I think they're going to have to rely on him. I mean, Logan Thomas is back, but I think that only helps Terry McLaurin even more, open up the field for him and kind of, not force doubles on him as the main pass catcher on that field. Scary Terry with the easy green matchup against this Las Vegas Raiders secondary and their corners. So start him up, Scary Terry.
Yo, that's awesome, man. Because I almost had Scary Terry as my wide receiver start of the week, but I was like, yo, I got a feeling. Mike Evans, he
It's
has
one
a
of those
really
days.
good wide receiver cornerback matchup going up against Fabian Moreau, who's allowed over 2 fantasy points per target. He's allowed 6 touchdowns on the year, and this could be a prime spot for Mike Evans. You talking about
Damn it,
Brady potential?
one of those 3 days.
I mean, maybe, man. 3 catches, 3 touchdowns
Yeah.
could be. But hey, Tom Brady, you're calling your shot for a multi-touchdown game. That means Evans has to be
Oh yeah.
involved in
Oh
that.
yeah.
So I got a multi-touchdown game here coming for Mike Evans, man. And hey, if me and Greg are on the same page about this, it only means it's coming true.
Yes, sir.
Greg, your tight end start of the week, brother. What do you got?
You already know I hit 2 hours in the game preview. Pat Frymurf going against Baltimore. The matchup is just too juicy, and just because Pat Frymurf has just been one of the better tight ends, rookie tight ends that we've had. Kyle Pitts has been doing really well, but Pat Frymurf has been a very close second. Coming off 2 straight touchdowns, 2 straight games with 2 straight touchdowns. Got a touchdown in 4 of his last 5 games. He's just been on a roll right now. In a game that Pittsburgh needs, going against Baltimore in a great matchup, start him up.
Definitely love Pat Frymouth this week, man. For me, I'm going with Zach Ertz, man, coming off his best game as an Arizona Cardinal just 2 weeks ago, right before the bye, and now Kyler Murray's expected back just in time for a phenomenal matchup here against the Chicago Bears, who allow the 5th most fantasy points, 5th most PPR points per game to the tight end position over their last 3 games, giving up almost 17 points to the position and at least 12.5 PPR points to each of the starting tight ends that they've faced over that same time span. Zach Ertz is going to eat this up here, seeing a 20% target share over his last 3 weeks. You gotta love that for Zach Ertz, man, who's found some newfound rejuvenation here in Arizona.
Yeah, for sure.
And now it's time to play everybody's favorite game. And I did check it. I did win last week. Get money. Obviously, if you don't know the rules, they're simple. We go head to head in a FanDuel matchup. The only rules are we can build whatever lineup we want as long as we don't have the same players. So we are going to draft here. And I believe I had the first pick last week, Greg. So you get the first pick this week in week 13.
Well, I did have him in my QB position, and then once you said start of the week, so I got to take him now. I'm gonna take Taylor Heineke at 7,100 at quarterback because that price is just so good with that. That's part of the reason why he took him, because he's so cheap going against the Vegas Raiders.
That hurt.
Yeah,
that hurts. That hurts. Okay, it's okay. I'll recover. All right. Well, if you're getting all this money, you must be trying to afford something. So I'm gonna go Jonathan Taylor, 10-5 against Houston.
I'm gonna lock in the stack right now. Get Terry McLaurin at 7,200 as my wide receiver 1. Yeah, we're going against Vegas as well.
Man, just picking up from my lineup, man. It's okay. Well, I will he'll go on my flex because of time purposes, but Elijah Mitchell, 7,600 in my flex.
I'm gonna go Joe Mixon, my running back start of the week at 9,400. Slide him in there.
Okay. Hold up. I'm out here. You made me switch some stuff up, so you forced me
Usually
into
when crazy things happen.
it's usually when some crazy stuff happens. Okay. All right. All right. So I'm gonna go wide receiver. My wide receiver start of the week, Mike Evans, 7,400.
Like that. I'm gonna go Alexander Madison as my RB2, 8,700. Well, I mean he's priced going against Detroit, RB2 spot.
Okay. For My tight end. Actually, I wanted to leverage my tight end start of the week here, but I wanted to leverage Taylor Heineke, but my tight end start of the week, Zach Ertz, is only $100 cheaper than Logan Thomas. So I'm gonna go get Zach Ertz, my tight end start of the week, 5,500.
I'm gonna go with Chris Godwin, 7,600 as my wide receiver 2. In that same matchup, Tampa Bay, Atlanta, go against Mike Evans. It'll be nice to see.
Okay. I'm actually going to go leverage the Taylor Heineke and Terry McLaurin stack. I'm gonna go Hunter Renfrow, 6,400 as my wide receiver 2 here.
In that same game, I'm gonna go Logan Thomas, tight end, 5,600, going against Vegas.
Oh, wait a minute. My quarterback. I'm gonna go your quarterback start for the week, Tom Brady. 8,100.
Ooh. Dag. I'm gonna go at my third wide receiver spot. I'm gonna go sleeper Nico Collins, 5,200, going against Indy. He's got a nice little matchup in there. Try and find someone other.
That's your wide receiver 3?
Yeah.
All right, bet. My running back 2 is going to actually. I'm just gonna take my shot here. Sony Michel, 5,300.
Okay, like that. In my flex, I'm gonna take Josh Reynolds, 5,100.
No!
He's so cheap, 5,100. Going against Detroit, Minnesota. Sorry, 5,100. Josh Reynolds, yes sir.
Oh, no. Oh, that's why I asked. I was like, "Oh, that's your last receiver, right?" No.
Yeah. Oh, my flex spot. Oh, I know what you're saying.
Damn. Oh. All right. Well, I'm gonna go. Deshaun Jackson as my wide receiver 3, 5,200.
Yeah, my defense. I'm gonna go Miami Dolphins, 4,000. Oh, dang. Yo, this is one of those weeks. It's been a while. That's why, so I gotta hit you all at once with all your steals. Going against Giants, 4,000. No Daniel Jones. It didn't matter either way. So I'll pick it up.
I'm just so mad over here. Just so angry. For my defense, screw it. I'm just gonna take the Jets. 3,500.
Maybe no Jalen Hurts. You never know.
Yeah, maybe there'll be no Jalen Hurts. Maybe the D-line just shows up and has a day because we're in the building.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Franklin Myers, he's been playing really well late,
Yeah, Quinn Williams is still balling, so, it's NFL's a game of matchups.
Yep.
So, Greg, you went first. Why don't you read your lineup out for the people? Which looked a lot like my lineup when we started this show, but go ahead.
Taylor Heineke at quarterback, 7,100, going against Vegas. Joe Mixon at my RB1 spot, 9,400, going against Cincinnati. Alexander Mattison, 8,700, going against Detroit. Chris Godwin at 7,600 as my wide receiver 1, going against Atlanta. Terry McLaurin, wide receiver 2 spot. Also with the stack, 7,200. Nico Collins at my wide receiver 3 spot, going against Indy at 5,200. Logan Thomas, 5,600. Also in that Washington-Las Vegas matchup at my tight end spot. And my flex, Josh Reynolds at 5,100 And the Miami Dolphins as my defense going against the Giants at 4,000.
All right, I just want to make you aware. I just made a change because since you took my defense, I had an extra $500. I just upgraded Deshaun Jackson to Rashad Bateman. So at quarterback, I have Tom Brady, 8,100 at running back. I got Sony Michel, 5,300. My other running back is Jonathan Taylor, 10,500. On wide receiver, Mike Evans, 7,400. My second wide receiver, Hunter Renfrow, 6,400. My third wide receiver, Rashad Bateman, 5,500. My tight end, it was my tight end for the week. My Zach Ertz, 5,500. My flex is Elijah Mitchell, 7,600. And then my defense is the New York Jets, 3,500. And this looks nothing like the lineup that I had when I sat down, other than Jonathan Taylor. And Hunter Renfrow. So there's that.
There you go.
And Elijah Mitchell. So it's okay. It's like 3 people. Cool. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is all we have for you today. So hope you enjoyed kicking it with us. Please come back Monday and enjoy the Week 13 recap where we will break down the studs, the Jags, the injuries, the waivers, and continuing that push to get you into your fantasy finals. So continue to stay locked in. Continue to hit play on this show, whether you're watching on YouTube, whether you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, however you may be listening, however you may be consuming this content. Just know we appreciate you. Have a good one. Good luck this weekend, and we are out of here. Peace.
Yeah.